When does a win not feel like a win? When the other team isn't trying to win and you still almost give the game away. But the Magic found the energy, and we'll take the W's where we can get them today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 7th. It will be February 8th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season, coming to you today from the Kia Center. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, boy, the Utah Jazz didn't want to win this game. The Orlando Magic stormed back to beat a tanking Jazz team. How the Magic found their energy and why a win is not enough when the other team isn't trying to win the game. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. We truly appreciate you for being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, our everydayers who listen 5 days a week, who listen on the weekends like today when we're doing our weekend episodes, who make us part of your daily podcast rotation, who make us your first listen of the day. We truly appreciate all of you who have made the Locked On Magic community so great. We truly appreciate all of our members of our Everydayer Club. Remember, and we also thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. It's not rocket science to know when the Orlando Magic are feeling it. The formula for this team to win is not overly complicated. The things that we ask this Magic team to do, that the expectations that we have for this team are not complex. And while there is certainly a higher level this team needs to reach in terms of their offense and in other aspects of this game, the fact of the matter is this team, and they know it, they told us this after the game, this team knows that it is talented enough and good enough that when they play with effort and they play with energy, they can beat just about any team in the league. It doesn't take much to turn a game around, to turn a game that otherwise should be a loss. And so when you face a team that is also handing you a victory, also handing you the keys to the car and just asking you, please drive this car for us, it shouldn't be complex. The Orlando Magic trailed by 17 points late in the third quarter. They were down by 11 at the half. They were frustrated. All the problems that have been part and parcel of this quagmire of a season. I'm going to keep coming up with fun words to describe how just frustrating this season is. The Magic were down by 11. They cut it to 6. They were never quite out of the game. And then all of a sudden, boom, down 17. Now, late in the third quarter, it feels like you've let go of the rope. And that's when Moe Wagner stepped in. After Jalen Suggs missed a pair of free throws. Yes, that's right. Missed a pair of free throws. After he missed a pair of free throws, Moe Wagner worked his butt off to get the rebound and knock it off Utah player to retain possession. And the ensuing timeout, the Magic said, hey, let's get this down to 10 at the end of the quarter. Let's cut into this lead. And it was Moe Wagner who added to that energy play with a 3. And then Tristan da Silva added another 3. And then Moe Wagner added another shot. And then Moe Wagner at the start of the fourth quarter, after the Magic were down by 7 after the third quarter, hit another 3 and another play. And all of a sudden, the snowball was rolling downhill. Yes, Utah sat their starters the entire fourth quarter. They tanked this game. Listen to our friend David Locke on Locked On Jazz. I don't think he will say they tanked this game because he works for the team, but the Jazz saw everything they wanted to see from their new look lineup. Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, and Yusuf Nurkic gave the Magic loads of problems. They were big. They used space really effectively. They worked the switches against Orlando. Orlando couldn't figure out how to get to the interior, not consistently enough. And when their shots dried up, which predictably they did, Utah found themselves in control of this game, especially because Orlando just wasn't precise. And we're going to get to that in a minute. And so at the end of the day, like, yes, I'm going to tell you this. Orlando played with the energy they needed to win the game. They came back, they fought back, and in the clutch moments, not only did they make key shots, whether it was a Jalen Suggs 3 that tied the game with 2 minutes left, whether it was Desmond Bane making a pair of really critical free throws and Jalen Suggs making free throws to make it a 3-point game, or the 3 defensive stops the Magic got to close the game, like forcing 2 turnovers, like getting a lot of turnovers, getting to the line a lot more in the second half, being the aggressors, even if they were struggling at times to match the energy that Utah had. Orlando is at its best when they play with energy, when they are the aggressors, when they are just not caring about the results and just fighting. That is Magic basketball. Forget everything else. Forget all the complexities. Forget, oh, this offense doesn't work. Forget everything else. What defined this Magic team for the last 4 years was that they worked harder than everybody else. And even then, in that fourth quarter, for a long stretch, even though the Magic were climbing back into the game, every time it felt like the Magic were about to take the lead or about to tie the game, Isaiah Collier made a crazy play or made a big play that was just about effort. That was just about saying, I don't care what happened the previous play. I don't care that we're blowing this lead. I don't care that we're not going back to our starters. I'm going to play so much harder than everybody else. And guess what? That is half the battle. We can go through schematics. We can go through tactics. We can say this and that and the areas where this team is deficient. If you play hard, good things are going to happen. If you play with energy, that will beget energy everywhere else. And frankly, there are a lot of things that have been problems this year. And we'll break them all down. Obviously, we'll talk about all of them. It is the energy piece that has missed so much. Because for the first time in 4 years, because it's not new that Orlando can't shoot. Like, we're not shocked Orlando's struggling to make threes. We're not shocked that the Magic can't make baskets. Like, that's been a decade plus of Magic basketball. But these last 2 years, especially when they made the playoffs, it didn't matter because they just played harder than everybody. And so if there is a silver lining to take from this game, if there is something that I could say, like, this is why the Magic won, like, yeah, they made some timely shots. Yeah, they got to the line. But it's because they started playing harder than the Utah Jazz. And that is when you have effort and talent, that's how you overwhelm these bad teams. That's how you win these games. It's effort plus talent. Everything else is just window dressing. Everything else is just like, oh, how do we make the most of this effort? How do we direct this effort in the right direction? That's everything else. But it starts with talent. This team has talent. I don't think we could argue that. And it starts with effort, which is something that maybe we assumed and took for granted. Because the Magic have not played with consistent effort from the start of the season. Those losses on that 4-game losing streak, that was all about effort. That was all about thinking this is going to be easy. It's all going to click into place. We don't have to work as hard. No. This team's main characteristic is still its effort. And that's why Moe Wagner doing what he did in the late third and fourth quarter, scoring 11 of his 13 points, all during that run, including a 15-2 run to end the fourth quarter, the third quarter. That's why Moe Wagner doing that. That's what defined and changed this game. That's why the Orlando Magic can sit here with a win. As empty and as hollow as it might feel because the Jazz gave them the game. And again, not the players. Isaiah Collier played his butt off. Kyle Filipowski played his butt off. Ace Bailey played his butt off. They had a lot of, like, the players tried their hardest, but Kyle Filipowski ain't Jaren Jackson Jr. They ain't Lauri Markkanen. They ain't all-star players. And the fact of the matter is, because Utah played harder, was more directed, was more purposeful, was more intentional, like, understood who they were, They really won this game. The Magic had to rally. They had to pull this one out. And again, like I believe Desmond Bain said it in the press conference after the game. At the end of the season, no one's going to care the circumstances of this game. No one's going to care about anything else because trust me, the players knew what was going on. No one cares about the circumstances. All they care is that you won the game. The Magic are one win closer to 45, one more win closer to 4-0 on this homestand, 8-4 in the next 12, like I said they needed to be. They are one step closer to climbing over that hill. Are they where they want to be? Did they play the way they wanted to play? Absolutely not. And if there's anything we need to take away, it's that. The Magic are still fighting for consistency in their process. I'll explain that concept coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their back. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Tonight might have been one of those nights. So let DoorDash become your post-game therapy because sometimes you need that dessert now. I know whenever I do a DoorDash order, I usually get some dessert. Usually have them stop by my favorite ice cream shop, get me a gelato, get me a little ice cream, give me a little sweet treat. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. The smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal, and it works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you're looking to take your Locked On listening to the next level, we're all talking about leveling up these days, go check out our Everydayer Club. If you need a group chat to keep up with all the chaos around the NBA, get you set through the playoffs, our Everydayer Club gets you access to the group chat on Discord just for Magic fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. I am in the Magic group chat. I haven't quite joined the NBA group chat yet. Maybe I will closer as we get closer to the playoffs. But in the Magic Discord chat, I provide my 3 thoughts after every quarter of Magic basketball. So you get my exclusive thoughts. These do not go up on my national feed, on my public feed. You can check that out on our Discord server. Plus, you get ad-free versions of the show. And I am trying to make sure that I can get my other premium content to you. I'm going to try and get that. I'm going to try and work on that tomorrow. Get you starting on Monday. We'll see if I can swing that. It's still in the process, but I want to make this worth it for you. Go check out our Everydayer Club at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Or check the show notes to learn more. You can tell how exasperated this is. It's been an exasperating season. And it's very clearly not so much about the other team. Like, yes, like Maybe if you're playing the Spurs or the Thunder, those teams might just be better. Like you could play a really great game and it doesn't matter. But what has been most frustrating about this season? What has made everyone go crazy is that this just doesn't feel like Magic basketball. This doesn't feel like the brand of basketball that made this team so enduring and endearing for the last 4 years. Even when the team was tanking, even when they did things like the Jazz did tonight, they still love this team because they just played so hard. They had purpose. They had intention. They seemed to understand these are our goals. We may not execute them perfectly. We may make mistakes. But what we haven't seen this year, and again, this is what's most frustrating, is as this team has tried to take this level up, this step up, and become a winning team, a championship level team, it feels like they're stuck in neutral. It feels like it's they like there's just an immaturity about this team. That's really the only way I can describe it. And it's not immaturity as in, they're acting out or acting fool or anything like that. It's an immaturity of not understanding that none of this is given. None of this is promised. None of this is guaranteed. Just because you're expected to do something doesn't mean you actually are able to do it. You've got to work at it all the time. And it's work at it possession by possession, game to game, quarter to quarter, again, play to play, moment to moment. And the fact that it hasn't all clicked has seemingly just frustrated them more, that they haven't been able to reach back and find themselves again. This is what I think Des was talking about after the game in this consistency and process. The Magic, again, the Jazz are better than their record. I really do believe that. I like a lot of the players on that team. They can get hot and they can really burn you. They're like, this is a team that is purposefully depressing their record. And Will Hardy is an incredibly smart coach. Just go watch some of his sets. Like the way he's manipulating space, the way he's causing indecision with the switching that the Magic like to do. They're going to be really good. They're looking for, it feels like they're looking for one more lottery pick. Obviously they made the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade because they feel like they're ready. They like Lauri Markkanen. They get another great defense. They get a great defender, Jaren Jackson Jr. I think they feel like if we can hit on one more big lottery pick, then we can start shaping this team and start becoming a contender. Now, obviously, like, again, your top level players matter, and that's kind of the next step for them. So the Jazz are better, like people who are like, oh, well, we can't do this to the Jazz. It's no, like, this is a tough team. This was, of the 4 games on this homestand, this was the tough game. This was the one I was scared about the most. Now, Milwaukee's on a 3-game win streak. I'm not going to poo-poo them. Milwaukee's on a 3-game win streak. We'll see what Milwaukee does. What Milwaukee looks like on Monday. They've been sitting around since Friday. They won on Friday against Indiana. We'll see what they do on Monday. We'll see how the Magic look on Monday. Maybe this is the wake-up call Orlando needs, and we see a really great effort on Monday, a really great effort on Wednesday, and now we got a 4-game win streak heading into the All-Star break. You accomplished the goal of sweeping this homestand. Like, it's all still there. But it's not about the other team. Like, right now, it's not about the other team. It's about the Magic doing what they have to do. It's about the Magic playing Magic basketball, for lack of a better way to phrase it. And there's just so many times where you're just puzzled by the decision-making of this team. And look, some of this it's young players. It's young players given a lot of responsibility, being thrust into big roles, dealing with expectation for the first time, and struggling a little bit with the weight. And if that's the problem here, then, that's a problem we can solve. That's a problem that you learn through experience, and maybe you need to add some veterans and, add a coach who's been there a little bit, maybe. Like there are solves to that problem. And some of that solve is just deal with the growing pains. Then again, we are 50 games into this season. Like we're deep into this season, to the point where you kind of are who you are. And so when I watch this team and I see Anthony Black settle for 3-pointer, there's a 3-on-1 after Keontae George looked like he rolled his ankle. Looked like it was worse than that, but looked like he rolled his ankle. He tried to go back in immediately. Like, kudos to that kid, Will Hardy. I saw Will Hardy shaking his head saying, no, go back to the locker room. did not play the rest of the game. But there's a 3-on-1 because Keontae George was hurt, and Anthony Black just steps into a 3. That's a bad shot. That's a 3-on-1. That's a bad shot. You draw the defender to you, you dish it out to Paolo on the dunker spot, or kick out to 3 in the opposite corner. That's the play, not to settle for 3. And Orlando, who does not take a lot of threes, averages like 31, 32 threes per game, took 41 in this game. 41 threes. You should not take more threes than the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz are a 3-point shooting team. Took 10 more. They settled for threes all game long. And it wasn't just that. It's, I don't mean to pick on AB, but AB was a big culprit of this. Trying to attack off the dribble, not being able to get by, resetting, trying it again, resetting, trying it again. And by the time he moved the ball to the next person in the next read, there's 5 seconds left. He's handing a grenade off. It's Jalen Suggs. Again, like Paolo does this too. Paolo tends to settle for mid-range jumpers, especially early in the shot clock. And it's just like, if you're going to take an early pull-up 3, you better make it. Otherwise, that's a bad shot. It's a bad shot anyway. Again, this is what we talk about with process. It's about you do the right things over and over again, you will get the results. Why did the Magic come back in this game? Well, because their energy picked up. They started creating points off their turnovers. They forced 24 turnovers for 39 points. They got to the line. They shot 43 free throws in this game. They were aggressive. They got downhill. They got to the basket. Orlando ended up losing points in the paint 58-40, but they were 20 for 37 in the paint. And it was a struggle early in the game to score in the paint because Utah's just so big because they played Nurkic, Markkanen, and Jackson together. The Magic just didn't know what they were doing. And then on top of that, you had Jalen Suggs roaming. And the Magic like to use him as a roamer, just cause a little chaos, like B sitting in passing lanes. And he got his steals and made some huge plays down the stretch. Again, I don't want to take too much away. They made the plays down the stretch that won the game. Their defense won them this game late. But Suggs is sitting in passing lanes. He's making risky plays and going for steals. And it's just like, no, be steady, be still, be in your spot, contest shots, rebound. And everything else is going to take care of itself. You're a good defensive team. You don't need to force defense. They really don't. They don't need to force these plays. They will come to them because you are skilled enough to do it. And so right now, half the problem with the Magic is they don't stick to their game plan. They don't stick to their identity. They don't, and that drains their energy and that makes things worse. The problem in this game was consistency and process. You can have a great game plan, but if you don't execute it, it doesn't matter. And look, that the team's depth and its offensive depth especially are in such a bad place. Jamal Mosley can't take Anthony Black out. We'll talk about box score. I'll talk a little bit about Jace Richardson, but he can't take Anthony Black out. He can't afford to take Jalen Suggs out because when Jalen Suggs is going well, this team goes to another level and they really struggle without him there. He can't even really take Wendell Carter out too much because he doesn't have the same level of defense solidity along with the offensive potential in any other player. I would not have been shocked if he went back to Mo because Dell didn't have a great game tonight, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But it's hard to not trust your starting players. And when they're the big culprits, when they're the ones struggling the most, that's how you lose games. Jeff Weltman said this Thursday when he was referring to the Magic's main starting lineup, which we haven't seen very much this year. In the playoffs, it's about your best 5 versus our best 5. And you play that lineup a lot longer and a lot more in the playoffs. And so, one of the reasons the Magic are a little bit confident, one of the reasons why the Magic aren't crazy to make moves or itching to make moves is because they believe they have a lineup that they can build a team around that can win in this Eastern Conference, that can win big. We just haven't seen it enough. But that doesn't matter if you don't do the things you're supposed to do consistently. And that's been the problem all year. That's the issue. And I don't think I'm saying anything that's rocket science. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy, but that's the issue. The Magic could throw their best players out there. And again, I don't think anyone's going to disagree that as constructed right now with the health that they have, with Franz out, their best 5 is their starting 5. At the end of the day, that won them the game tonight. Like, I'm not, again, like, for whoever they're playing against, that won them the game. Their best 5 is their starting 5. And when they struggle to execute, you're going to struggle to win. You're going to struggle to compete. And that's what happened tonight. The Magic, as we know, have a lot of work to do. I'm not breaking news there, I hope. They have a lot of work to do. Because they've got to find that consistency. They got to find themselves. Tonight wasn't good enough until the final 14 minutes of the game. And against a team like Utah that is not trying to win basketball games, and I don't think I'm saying anything controversial there, for a team like Utah that's going to sit their starters the entire fourth quarter in a game that they're winning comfortably and dominating. That is good enough. 14 minutes is good enough. It's not good enough for what the Magic want to accomplish. So, as Jamal Mosley said, it's better to learn these lessons while winning. It's better to deal with this while winning. Sure as heck is a lot better than having to sit here and talk about a loss. Let's close up today's show. We'll run through the box score, talk a little bit about how the Magic played. It's not pretty. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It is the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you are right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone has been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It is the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you are a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As we do after every game, let's run through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Utah Jazz 120-117. Again, not a game that feels like a win. If you're in the crowd, first off, MVP of the game was the crowd. When the crowd got into this game, you really began to feel the energy turn. Now, again, casual crowd on a Saturday night, sellout crowd on a Saturday night, Indian night here, they're not going to know the circumstances. I tell people this all the time. If you're listening to this podcast, you care about the nitty-gritty, you care about the details. I remind everybody that most people who watch the Magic, most people who come to these games are coming for one or two games. They just want to see an entertaining game on a good product. That was a struggle, and there have been a few boo birds coming out here at the Kia Center, but they stepped up when the Magic got that energy going. When Moe Wagner made those plays at the end of the third quarter, this was a great home court advantage for Orlando. So my MVP of the game is certainly the fans sticking by this team, giving them some energy, lifting them up, and getting them over the finish line to get the win. Because, again, at the end of the day, it does not matter how you win. All that matters is that you score one more point than the other team. The standings don't care if you win by 1 or win by 20. They only care that you win. The Magic got the win. Big win. I don't know what results are going on around the league. You pick up a game on Miami, so you put some distance between you and Miami in the 7-8. Philadelphia is still on their West Coast trip. You might catch a game against Philadelphia. I think they're playing Portland tonight. You might catch a game with them. You never know. Right now, the goal is stack wins. Again, Orlando has games in hand on, I think, every team ahead of them. They've got extra wins available that other teams can't get to. That's why they're closer in the loss column than it feels like. They got to turn those games in hand into win. We'll do standings checks and all that at the All-Star break. Talk a little bit about what the Magic have to do down the stretch. We talked a little bit about that over the course of the last few days and few weeks or whatever. Let's talk about individual players, though. again, my MVP as far as players go was Moe Wagner. Moe Wagner at 13 points, 4 for 8 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3, 8 rebounds. Really just an excellent game from Mo. Again, he is coming back from the injury. It's very, very clear that he's coming back from the injury. But this was the closest, I think, especially coming off Thursday's game where he had 14 points. Back-to-back 10-point games. He's starting to look more like Moe Wagner. He's starting to look more like healthy Moe Wagner. Again, he's the first one to tell you, and he's told us this. It's not going to be linear. I'm going to have bad days. Like, Mo's perspective on everything is so, so, so good. Like, he's who we turn to when we need perspective on what's going on with the team. It continues to be really, really good from him. He played a really strong game today. Like, again, just played really, really excellent, and gave this team its best chance to win. Just gave the energy, and once he found some energy and made some plays, others stepped up, whether it's Tristan Da Silva coming off the bench. Da Silva ends with 8 points on 3 for 6 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3. Whether it was Jalen Suggs. Suggs had only 12 points on 4 for 11 shooting. He's been so up and down with the shooting. 2 for 7 from 3, 2 for 4 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 2 turnovers, 2 blocks. So just, again, a game that is all over the place. The shooting was a big struggle for him. Just felt like he was rushing and he got frustrated with some fouls. He picked up a technical foul, not complaining about a foul, but reacting to a foul. And it was just, he was just all over the place. But again, fourth quarter, made some big shots, made some big defensive plays, like focused up, found that intention that he needs late in the game. And really that was everyone. Like Anthony Black, I'm going to be very critical of Anthony Black. I thought his shot decision-making was terrible in this game. I think he's really confident offensively right now. Now it's about learning what a good shot is. That's always the next step. You kind of just take a lot of shots, and you wanted him to maybe do this earlier in his career when you could afford to have him take some bad shots and explore the space a little bit. Now you can't really explore the space. Now you got to be kind of within a role and be smart about things. And he's still learning that. And I think that much is clear. So again, this is all part of the growth process. I really do believe that. But a rough game for him. He did have 21 points, 8 for 20 shooting, 1 for 7 from 3, 4 assists, 4 steals. So did some good things defensively. And again, just super active. Once the Magic were able to kind of create some steals, create some pressure, they were able to get downhill. They were able to get out in transition, and Black's so good in transition, minus pulling up for 3 on that one possession. That's the Magic's bread and butter. It's the same for everybody. Desmond Bane, solid 22 points, 6 for 14 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 8 for 10 from the foul, and both those misses coming in the fourth quarter, mind you. But he did make the 2 free throws that gave the Magic the lead, made some big plays down the stretch to help the Magic stay ahead. 3 rebounds, only 2 assists. Felt like he had more than that, but Dez is doing a great job attacking the basket. Again, 2 for 5 from 3. Like, would you want to see him take more threes? Sure. Utah put a bigger guy on him, put Markkanen on. He did the right thing. He attacked him off the dribble. He was able to get to the basket a few times. Again, everyone just struggled so much to get consistency, but they found it in that fourth quarter again with Utah sitting all their starters. Paolo Banchero, I thought, was decent. 23 points, 6 for 17 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3. Again, settling for a lot of threes. That's the problem. You had 3 guys in your starting lineup take 7 3-point attempts. None of them are Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane should be taking the most threes on the team. Look, Jalen Suggs is a quality 3-point shooter. AB's gotten a lot better. I don't even mind Paolo taking some threes, but it's all about getting downhill, getting to the basket. And the Magic got to do a better job setting Paolo up in the post, especially when it's a smaller player on him. That is something that the Magic just don't do. That's something Utah did really well. They set up Jaren Jackson Jr. on smaller players right in front of the basket, gave him plenty of space. The Magic were not clearing out space for Paolo to dive down to the post. And Paolo wasn't diving down to the post either, but that's got to be one of the reads on their list is, hey, we got to switch. We got to guard on Paolo. Paolo's just going to crash down to the paint. We're going to swing it to the opposite side. Paolo's going to come to the opposite side with the ball. We're going to get it to him on the move with the guard, pin beneath the basket. Like, these are really simple schematic things that the Magic just don't really do. That is a problem that they have to solve. Again, like, I thought Paolo was fine. 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Did have 5 turnovers. Did have 3 steals. So he had some good activity. Again, missed some shots at the rim he's got to make and settled for jumpers. That would be my only complaint. On 2-point field goals, he was 4 for 10. So again, efficiency is a problem. Missed some shots at the rim, but generally I thought Paolo was fine. I did not have many complaints. This ended up being a rough game for Wendell Carter, although Wendell Carter made some big plays down the stretch, had that huge block with the Magic up by 1 that sent it out of bounds. And it was like 30 seconds left, blocked a shot out of bounds, Crowd's going crazy. Jazz try to inbound it. It's stolen by Anthony Black. They get it out to Jalen Suggs. Suggs ends up making 2 free throws to make a 3-point game. Like, huge play. So give Carter the credit there. But a rough game for Wendell Carter. 8 points, 2 for 4 shooting, 4 for 4 from the line, 6 rebounds. Just wasn't a presence in the paint. And that to me is the big thing. Just wasn't a presence. And that was needed with how big Utah was. And look, some of that is he has to step up and defend guards. Like, the Magic needed better rebounding around him. Like, Paolo's, been a higher volume rebounder. I wouldn't say he's been a good rebounder. Everyone's got to contribute on the glass. Orlando was trying so hard to get out on run. This game was played at Utah's pace. Utah wants to go back and forth. They want these kind of ping pong games. Orlando doesn't like that. They want to play fast. They want to play under control. They want to play with pace. And I thought the Magic's pace was generally good. I thought the Magic did a good job playing fast, but you could play too fast, and it played into Utah's hands because they weren't able to get organized on defense. They ended up like having these mismatches because they had to scramble back to defend. And so it was a bit of a mess on that front for Orlando. I want to give Jace Richardson a shout out. I really did think Javon Carter was going to play. The Magic signed Javon Carter on Friday, veteran point guard. Jace got the first call. They gave him the shot at this. He had 5 points, 1 for 1 shooting, 1 for 1 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line, 1 steal. I thought he was just super active, just very, very aggressive on defense. And look, he's got to be. The energy from him is really good. The Magic's best moments in this game came when they had guys who were playing with energy, whether it's Suggs, whether it's Moe, whether it's Jace. Just guys playing with energy, putting themselves on the line. That's got to be the definition. That's got to be the identity of this team. And if the Magic do that, then they're gonna win some games because they got the talent. And so I was really happy with how Jace played. Again, just he's a rookie. He's learning. Like it's gonna get better. Orlando shoots only 41.9% from floor. It's a lot of the frustration is Orlando just could not make shots. They're 13 for 41 from 3. That's 31.7%. They end up 35 for 43 from the foul line. A lot of that coming in the second half. I think Orlando's only at like 16 or 17 free throws at halftime. So the Magic getting to the line really kept them in the game in the third quarter until that big run that made it 17. Got them back into the game in the fourth quarter. They were aggressive. They were getting downhill. That is Magic basketball. That is how the Magic get to be the team that they want to be and be the best version of themselves. They turned the ball over only 12 times for 16 points. A lot of that coming in the first half that helped Utah regain the lead. But once Orlando was able to protect the ball, things worked really, really well. 27 points for Lauri Markkanen. He was excellent. Orlando had no answer for him. Anthony Black just was too small to deal with him. And Markkanen took advantage of just poor defense overall from the Magic as a whole. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 22 points. Game very reminiscent of how he played in Berlin, just eating up Paolo Banchero. Look, he made some tough shots. Like, I actually thought the Magic did a good job. Took advantage of some mismatches. He was just aggressive and making shots. So not a lot you can do there. 20 points for Isaiah Collier, including 10 assists. 13 points for Kevin Love, just eating on the glass. Orlando really struggled on the offensive glass in this one. But at the end of the day, Orlando gets the job done. They win 120 to 117. They come back from 17 down. Doesn't matter the circumstances. The Jazz tanked this game. There's no other way to explain it. They sat their starters the entire fourth quarter. You look at the numbers on that. Jaren Jackson Jr. is +6. Lauri Markkanen is +2. Their best players won this game and were winning this game running away. And then they sat them the entire fourth quarter. Orlando came back and won the game. You'll take it. Thank you for the win. Magic got to be a lot better. There's no satisfaction in this win. They got the job done. Kudos to getting the job done. Kudos to the energy in that fourth quarter. But that's not Magic basketball, and Orlando's got to play a lot better if they want to get where they want to go. The Magic defeat the Jazz 120 to 117. They're back in action here at the Kia Center on Monday against the Milwaukee Bucks. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and him on Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the places you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can also check us out on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. I'm also trying to figure out for our Everydayer Club, we're going to try and get that content that is on my Patreon page over to you on the Everydayer Club. So please, please, please stay tuned. I will let you know. I'll share links in the Discord server when we get to that. So I'm very, very hopeful that I'll be able to share more of my premium content with you through the Everyday Club in addition to the Patreon. So you only have to subscribe to one. The experience is going to be the same, I promise. But you can check that out again at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub, or check out our Everyday Club at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we're going to send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We will be back on Monday after Super Bowl. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about. But we'll be back Monday to talk more Orlando Magic basketball. Be sure to check out Locked On Seahawks and Locked On Patriots for all your Super Bowl needs. But until then, have a great Super Bowl Sunday, everybody. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.